There are people in the back of the room who have put tape over their mouths.
Once upon a time, college was a place for the intellectual of the intellectual, where knowledge flourishes and game changers are groomed. Now we have this.
Start, like, just make it a place where they feel like they can come to you those questions, and make it a space where you're not like labeling them as like definitely a boy, definitely a girl, or like definitely gay, definitely straight. Just like make it like an inclusive place where, like, if they are thinking that, then you can just be like, yeah, I hear you, I see you. Do you want a different pronoun, different name? How?
Well, if there would be crazies, there must be tranquilizers. Here are times college Wokies were put in their place. This is really good stuff. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, okay? Let's take a peek into the asylum.
Even though we would call the police if we're in trouble, the police are a repressive system. They do not do any good for any community. They are not stopping crime. Police arrive after crime has been committed. We fund the police as if they solve all the community's problems. We should defund the police and put that money towards community resources like mental health, drug addiction, rehabilitation, schools, community programs, and it would keep people out of committing crime. The cops, all they do is try to get as many brown and black people into the prison system, because mass incarceration these days is really just modern day slavery. So even if I might call the cops if I need help, the cops, the police, the way that system runs. The police do more bad than they do good.
But you would call them if you needed help?
Yes.
So they just drive around streets and fill up the prison's order of black and brown people? Also, I refuse to believe all that garbage actually came from your brain. It's too buzzy. You memorized that from a pamphlet, did you? Don't be scared, you can tell me.
What do you support specifically? Do you think that anti-immigrant rhetoric is violent free speech? Do you think that speech is violence?
No, I think that
that's what that sign says.
The conversation that you're having is oppressive, and
so I am oppressing people by what I'm doing. So I am exerting violence on people by my speech. That's what the sign says, and that's what you just said.
It contributes to.
And the protester is saying that's exactly what I'm doing, and she's saying that's exactly what her sign means. So that means that you, a faculty member at an American public university, paid for by taxpayer dollars, are conflating speech with violence.
Speech can be violent. What you are saying contributes to systemic racism in this country. It means that my students of color are pulled over and accused of stealing a car when they did not.
I'm not pulling anybody over for stealing any cars. I see many people of many different races in this room. They all seem to be doing just fine. I don't think any of them have felt violence because they listened to a lecture on basic facts about our immigration system. The question was, have I asked people in this room if they've felt as though some violence has been committed on them? No, I haven't asked, because no violence has been committed on you. Because violence is not a subjective feeling. Violence is an objective.
Shouldn't you be smart to be a faculty member?
And I would say to you, as a faculty member at a taxpayer-funded university, this is the foundation of liberal education. If you cannot understand that there is a difference between speech and violence, you don't understand anything that undergirds the liberal arts or liberal education. And that is a real shame. And I say this with all respect and with great distress for our universities. If our teachers don't understand the difference between ideas and violence, between speech and violence, then they are in no position to educate the next generation of Americans.
America has somehow been able to raise their youths to remain babies. Actually, they are as whiny and dependent as babies, but they are much dumber. He's giving a speech on immigration. You walk into the hall to protest, but somehow he is being violent. Yet you can tell your feelings across the room, all while being violently oppressed. What's your diaper size?
I just so deeply object to a lot of what you're saying, but at the root I feel like there's a clear misunderstanding about the core values of feminism. You're saying that it's bitter women, or that it's not allowing men to be men anymore, or demonizing masculinity. I really don't agree with. I don't think there's any value in kind of glorifying toxic masculinity that we have now, with making it seem as though being a violent man or anything like that is appropriate. I think it's really damaging.
Would you be able to phrase it as a question? Sorry for the panel.
Oh.
I can say a couple of things back and we can have a discussion about this. So first and foremost, you started by saying, I feel like it's really important that we know what you think like, because a big problem is that people are thinking, are feeling, and they're not really thinking.
If you want to make a statement, that's what X is for. Just type up your speech and hit post. You rambled for almost a full minute and there was no question in sight. Guess what? The soy boy is back.
I don't believe that. I'm not trying to argue that a human is worth more than an animal. I'm saying that even if a human is worth more than an animal, you should give animals respect.
I do give animals respect. We should treat them humanely. If you are to eat them, you should kill them in a way that does not have unjust suffering.
What about milk? But animals are all the time. Cows are to produce milk. Yeah, to produce milk, a cow has to be impregnated, and it's not like these farmers are waiting for the animal to get pregnant naturally. They have forcibly inseminated, which is a form of.
I actually think it's a great thing that we have dairy.
Okay, but I don't think that that drinking milk in and of itself is bad. Saying that animals can be is okay. That's beyond me.
You think that cows are being? I gotta be honest.
Yes.
I've been doing this for 12 years. I've never heard that before.
Yes, but they are because they're not referred to as being. They're said to be forcibly inseminated. How come that's okay, but keeping a small child is not?
I would not.
I don't support anyone.
I don't support human beings. I wouldn't call extracting milk from a cow the same as what happens if a woman is by some savage.
I'm not talking about extracting milk. I'm talking about when you inseminate a cow to get it pregnant so it can produce milk. Yes.
Yeah, not that worried about that.
Why not? Do you not think their suffering is worth anything?
I think their suffering's fine. Again, they're not human beings, and whatever allows the human being to flourish is what we should be concerned about. And I think it's a good thing that human beings are able to have meat, beef, and dairy, and so.
Okay, but
I appreciate your exactly.
No, but you still have to treat them with respect. Kids don't build railroads, do they?
Yes, cows hit a plateau. I can't believe I have to explain this. Cows eventually plateau in their ability to reason.
I'm not talking about a plateau in ability. I'm talking about suffering at that moment.
Right.
Is it okay if you know a kid is never going to grow to adulthood, like if you had like a crystal ball or something, is that okay to kill them and rape them then?
Of course not, because it's still a human being with a soul and a cow is not. But I just want to make sure we are consistent, just so we're consistent. Do you believe that we should limit the unjust suffering of insects?
Well, I don't believe that. I don't believe in intentionally killing insects either.
So you don't believe that we should spray for mosquitoes even if they're carrying diseases that kill humans?
Well, if they're threatening me, then it's self-defense.
Oh, okay, got it.
But a cow didn't do anything. A cow was innocent.
But what if the cow is feeding me a human being?
But you can get nutrients. The World Health Organization has already said that a vegan diet is completely healthy for all ages.
We need to get testosterone rates up, not down, and you do that by eating meat and not eating soybeans.
No, but you can get all of your protein. You can get nutrients all from a plant-based diet.
Okay.
Yes, you can. Look it up.
Let me just say one final.
The more he opened his mouth, the worse it got. Even his fellow Wokies were completely appalled by his logic. Cows and children, that's what we're doing now? That's the best argument? Get yourself some beef stew, man. Your brain is lacking a lot of nutrients.
I was wondering, where do you collect your sources? And do you make them easily accessible?
Of course. Would you like to name an example that I can cite for you now?
I don't question that the things that you're saying are factual. It's more how they are phrased and how they are put to us. So, for example, the thing that you've just said now about abortion, could you quickly remind me so I don't trip over my own
Sure,
words?
I'll do the first one. I say, a celebration of a pregnancy, why do we call that event a baby shower, not a fetus shower?
Right, so that in itself sounds like, oh, right, well, that means there's a cultural acceptance of the idea that it's a baby pre-birth. But that's just a linguistic, cultural way. So I'm pro-choice, for example, but I would still call it a baby shower. That doesn't mean I culturally accept the idea that it's a baby pre-birth. I'm just using a linguistic standard.
There's deeper meaning. Now, let's play this out. So if the individual that has the baby shower decides right after the baby shower to have an abortion, what is that inside of her called?
I don't want to do this, if that's all right. I don't want to do abortion.
I know, but you see,
What do you mean you don't want to do it? You brought it to the table, you bearded chicken. The fancy accent is nice, but maybe study more independently. It'll help.
Here and say that you support abortion, you support government intervention, you support government intervention to make abortion illegal, which is designed to kill someone, and yet you can stand up here and say you don't want government intervention for guns, which are also designed to kill people.
Because guns are not designed to kill children, guns are designed to kill bad guys if operated by a proper person. There's not an abortion in the world that doesn't end with the death of a baby.
There you go, short and sweet. Why are these overgrown children so obsessed with killing other children? What's the kick you're getting out of it exactly?
But how do you defend your opinion as a white, well-off, religious man? How do you defend your, telling a woman what she can do with her body?
Because evil things are still evil, even if I'm a white, well-off, religious man. And good things are still good, even if I'm a white, well-off, religious man. Listen, I think that you shouldn't go around randomly homeless people. I just have this view. I'm not a homeless person, Most of the people who randomly homeless people are probably not of my economic strata, my religious view, or my, I don't know whether they're of my skin color or not. I have no idea what the actual sociological breakdown of homeless is. But I would suggest that my identity has nothing to do with what is right or wrong. And this is what Western civilization used to be about. Western civilization used to be about the idea that, yes, I'm not a woman in the healthcare field, but you and I can have a conversation about what's right and wrong because this is the nature of human reason. The nature of human reason, the nature of right and wrong, is that you and I can talk about what's right and wrong and that I don't retreat into my identity. If we can all retreat into our identity and our morality is now centered around that identity, morality doesn't exist at all. We break down into a society of fragmented atoms where I can't even say, like, you're torturing a puppy in your backyard. I have nothing to say about that. I'm not a white woman who's in the healthcare field. I'm not going to do that. I refuse to surrender the idea that I can have a moral stance on issues that are of concern to society and of concern to the well-being of the United States simply because of the color of my skin or the nature of my genitalia. And honestly, I believe any view that feels differently is sexist, racist, and bigoted.
If we all decided to fight for battles that directly affect our groups, society would crumble. For example, there are associations that focus on catching minor-attracted people. No one in those organizations would be a child. So should they take their grown hands off? Are children supposed to fight for themselves? Think, would you?
What cycle do you think Republicans will nominate and elect their first black Republican senator to serve
You know what's
in
interesting?
office?
I think skin color is irrelevant. Why do you care so much about it?
I just told you, buddy, it's not irrelevant because it doesn't matter
Well, hold on.
to you.
No, it's interesting though. But like, you say representation. You know what? The only stop it. The only representation that matters is values, not skin color.
Oh, values. Right. Christian values are important to you because 100% of Republicans in Congress represent Christian values.
Bingo.
Black values are not important to Republicans because 0.001% of your representation.
Tell me very slowly so I can understand. What are black values?
I'm talking about the values of different communities.
No, tell me what they are. Educate me on what black values are.
That's you're picking a stupid.
You know what
part
black
of my-
values are? They're Christian because they're one of the most Christian populations in the country. That's what black values are.
That had to be one of the most insufferable personalities I have ever virtually encountered. Oh, and he's not a student. He's an alumni adult wearing a Nicolas Cage shirt. Gross.
Oh, so there's not male and female.
I think what happens is you don't understand science and scientific
Oh, I don't.
backing.
Oh, okay. So
and you just want to put forth this fascist simple.
Oh, fascist simple. Here we go. That's interesting.
That will keep you.
So what is fascist about saying there's two genders?
Is you're just being completely not faithful to what actual science is telling you.
No,
because
science
you
is
wanna
quite
put
simple.
forward
That
your
there's
own
a
oppressive narrative
Oh,
about how you
oppressive.
think
So
genders
and now I'm
should be
oppressive.
believed.
How am I being oppressive? This is the truth comes out eventually. So how am I being oppressive?
Yeah, you're being oppressive.
How am I being oppressive?
You're being oppressive by denying people the ability to have.
How have I
your
denied
own
anyone
identity.
anything? Okay, denying people identity. People can identify however they want. I'm only going to use two genders.
So you interrupt over and over, and when you realize that your argument got lost in the mail, you cry fascism and oppression. Okay, got it. There are just two genders, and that's what we would continue to use. Okay, bye.
But it seems, do you agree Iran's an evil?
I think that my
Oh, a little hesitancy? Is Iran and Saudi Arabia both enemies of the West?
No, I don't believe
Wow.
that at all.
So Iran funding Hamas and Hezbollah is what? Would you say that? Good?
I think that
Iran is the number one terrorist funder
I
in the
think
world.
the Palestinian people and the Lebanese people have the right to defend themselves from Israel.
Hamas is not defending themselves.
Yes,
They're
they
a
are.
terrorist organization targeting Jews, launching rockets into this nation-state of Israel every single day.
Sorry.
Hamas is not Palestinian. Hamas and Hezbollah are terrorist organizations that are committed to the complete and total destruction of the rightful nation-state of Israel.
That's completely untrue. Hamas has repeatedly expressed acceptance of the two-state solution.
I just want to know where they get their facts from. The trash? Hamas is good. Okay, if you say so, but this started with an offense from Hamas. Let's be honest, peaceful people don't start things, but intelligent people finish them.
Do you, Do you like and ball torture?
Next question. You're done. Thanks.
Free speech,
Yeah, we're done. Yeah, free speech. You made a fool of yourself. Next question. Thanks.
Mothers and fathers, please raise your children right.
So Charlie, I just wanted to come here today and basically say I'm not too political, but I'm a big fan of Kamala Harris. I think she seems like a sweet lady with a nice smile. And basically, I just want to know, what's your beef with Kamala and how can we resolve this?
Yeah, so I'm impressed
because I've never heard anyone say anything positive about Kamala Harris. Why don't you tell me how great she is? What is she done?
Well, I think she seems like a nice lady. Like, she has a nice smile. And I also just feel like she seems like she'd be fun to hang out with.
She seems to me more kind of like the librarian that gets super mad at you because you're making too much noise while you're hanging out with your friends. I mean, there is one good thing that Kamala Harris is good at, but I'm not going to get into that because I'll keep it PG rated here. But
I mean, we can agree to disagree. I kind of want to get to know her, but we all have our own opinions, right?
Yes, we do.
That's so cute. Someone is attracted to incompetence. Anyway, I don't think a crush is reason enough to choose a leader for 4 years. Don't you get tired of the middle class speech? Now, hold on. You believe it's the killing of other people, but somehow we shouldn't judge or make people feel bad. Is that really your argument? Girl, go back to your seat. Where's the next dummy?
Okay, can I?
If an unborn baby is not alive, what's going on with IVF? Because only living organisms can grow. Even a tumor doesn't classify as a person's body. It's just present in your body. Let me just say that this arrangement by Jubilee is the dumbest I've ever seen, and it represented the times we are in right now. If you are saying what they like, they would let you have a platform. But once your own thoughts fly out your mouth, you get canceled.
Actually, I'm gonna let someone else.
Thank you very much.
Well, at least she saw the flaw in her logic, way better than these mule-headed morons, if you ask me.
Getting a degree in gender studies is good for society?
I would agree, yeah. Why would studying gender not be good for society?
Well, learning that men can give birth is not exactly a good use of time, is it?
Is that what they're teaching in college right
now? A lot
now?
of colleges, yeah. According to the Center for Disease Control, they no longer say women can give birth, they say birthing persons.
Okay.
Do you think men can give birth?
Do I think men can give birth? I think that...
Yes or no question?
I think that a person who is assigned male at birth, I don't think they can give birth.
Assigned male at birth, so people are not male at birth?
I think that a person...
See, your evidence that college is a scam, my friend.
Assigned? So there are just random gender tags in delivery rooms and doctors just slap them on. That's a temporary girl.
Okay, so let me start by saying, well, first of all, you said we're sending too many kids to college. Who's sending them? Who's forcing them?
Guidance counselors, parents, community.
Are they forcing them? Are they signing them up themselves?
Hold on. Forcing, I never said forcing, but you can have nudging.
Okay.
And forcing are two different things. We also subsidize college through the federal government. So you guys get subsidized interest rates, scholarships, and loans. So the taxpayer is nudging students and gently and sometimes forcefully pushing them into college. And you would agree it is an expectation if you grow up in a upper middle class home to go to college. You would agree with that. So there's a societal cultural push.
I didn't grow up in an upper middle class.
Okay, well, but would you see it from there? Would you see how that argument is correct?
I guess there might be a pressure, but no one's sending them. You're sending yourself.
Well, of course.
Well, we're all over the age of 18, right?
Right.
When you're in college, so you're sending yourself.
Right.
But that's besides the point.
Let's be honest. I mean, that's a silly argument. Yes, they're technically sending themselves. I was just at Arizona State University move-in. Everyone had their parents there. They were co-signing on loans. They were there helping pay for stuff. Parents, the ones that are still checking in. They're the ones that largely subsidize their lifestyle. Hey, mom, can you Venmo me $3,000 that I can go out on an extra night? Yes, of course, when you're 18 years old, you're the one signing on the dotted line. But there's enormous pressure and nudging and cultural expectation that students go to college.
Right. Okay. I think the problem here is that it's up to the person. You can't just go to college and expect to come out with a degree. You have to put the work in. You have to put the work in. You have to make connections. And some people might think college is just 4 years of partying and drinking and making friends, whatever. But you have to actually put the work in. And if you put the work in, you make connections, and you can find a job right outside of college.
Doubting that you can't find a job. It's just that 52% of them get a job that doesn't require them to get the degree.
But most jobs offer incentive pay if you have a degree. And 86% of people with a degree get paid more than people with just a high school diploma.
That's only if you count the ones at the top 10% of income earners. So not if you count humanities, not if you count people that study in the social sciences. If you count medicine or you count law, that's absolutely correct. However, the vast majority of kids that go to college are not studying medicine, law, engineering, business, finance. They're studying communications, social sciences, or humanities, which are on the lower income ladder. So as I mentioned, we have 11 million job openings in this country right now that do not require a college degree. I'm guessing in this room that within 4 to 5 years, you guys would kill to be able to earn $80 to $100,000 a year, yes? Do you know that in states across the country and in cities, they're offering apprenticeships to become plumbers and welders, electricians. That doesn't require for your college
Right.
degree. Entrance salary, $80,000 a year.
But again, 86% of people with a bachelor's degree earn more
No, I've already
than
told you-
people with a
I've
high school
already
diploma.
told you.
No, 86% of all people with a
I got
bachelor's
that,
degree.
But if you take out the top 10%, it's actually lower than those that don't go to college. So the reason that number, that average goes up is because the doctors and the engineers and the lawyers are the ones that bring that average so significantly up. But let me ask you a question. Do you think that there's any waste at all in the current college model?
Do I think there's any waste? I don't think we need all of it. Well, you have to start with your core classes. And it's like high school. You're taking the same classes in
So do you
in high
think,
school.
like, for example, do you think that... It's okay, nice to meet you.
Okay, she's losing the argument, so let's take her out. That way she doesn't really learn anything and forgets the embarrassment in a few minutes. That way, stupidity is recycled, not fixed.
What's the policy implications of extending?
Okay, how about this? How about not having taxpayers fund 15-year-old sexual reassignment surgery without parental consent in the state of Oregon? That would be nice.
The policy.
That happened. It does. It's a state law in Oregon. It's a state law.
Gender reassignment
For
surgery.
15-year-olds without parental consent is a state law in the state of Oregon.
Do they can have surgery?
Yes, funded by the taxpayers. That's a problem.
Yeah, speaking as someone who has been through the process of sexual reassignment surgery in the state of Oregon as an adult, that doesn't happen.
Okay, again, you can have your own opinions, you can't have your own facts. It's a state law that the government will fund your sexual reassignment surgery
Yeah,
as young
but
as
will
15.
the doctors do it? Will your insurance cover it?
Okay, when the government covers it, they cover the cost of the procedure.
Yes, I know, mine was covered by taxpayer dollars.
Well, that's my whole point. You disagreed to it. You disagreed to my whole point. I don't think that's correct.
So you think it's wrong that I should have been able to have a life-saving procedure when I don't have the money to pay for it myself?
Don't make me pay for it. That's the whole point.
What do you mean by life-saving procedure? Wait, does it mean that there was a surgical procedure and what we are looking at is the final result? I say this with love, get your money back, and sue that doctor.
So you believe that we can dictate pronouns. Can I choose my adjectives? Can I decide to be like super rich? Or like, can I decide to be small? Like, is there anything objective that we have to actually admit? Or can you just change anything at any time?
I think people should have the right to determine their pronouns. And I don't think...
No, how about adjectives?
I don't think people actually do that, so I don't know why that's something you're...
Well, of course, like if someone says, I declare I'm rich, it's no longer than saying I'm declare I'm a man. Your chromosomes aren't that way. You don't get to choose what your reality is, do you?
Gender identity is reality.
Okay, so anyone could be anything. Let me ask, how about species reality? Can I change my species?
No.
Why? There's people that identify as cats and dogs all the time. It's a serious mental condition. It is. It's treated all the time. Tens of thousands of cases every single year. So basically, if you believe in absolute truth, which you say you do, why wouldn't you believe in absolute truth when it comes to chromosomal structure?
I just live how he ended up laughing at his ridiculous beliefs. The insane thing about the Rainbow Club is that they are disloyal. When they create an agenda, they end up stomping on others. Transgenderism fights against everything gay and bisexual. Therians destroyed transgenderism too. Just a bunch of confused alphabets playing tug of war.
So you touched on LGBTQ rights a lot. You've talked about, trans bathrooms. You getting banned from Twitter. Very, awful. But I'm wondering if I can get a straight answer, yes or no. Do you think the acceptance of queer people in society is a good thing?
Well, define acceptance and define queer, because when I grew up, that was like a slander. So I don't know, that's like a thing now.
Queer being lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender.
What do you mean acceptance? What do you mean?
Acceptance being that society, accepts that, doesn't try to change that, doesn't try to say that it's not a social, like it's not a good thing for you to be gay, it's not a good thing for you to be trans, and in our institutions also just offering them resources to just come to terms with their sexuality, not feel bad about it. Basically, by acceptance I generally mean society shouldn't make people feel bad about who they are. So do you agree with that?
No, we should feel bad about all sorts of things. So yeah, happy to get the mic back up, but I'll just ask you a very simple question, and this will tell, what is a woman?
A woman is someone who identifies as a woman.
Okay. So do you think a definition of someone able to become pregnant would be a woman?
We see trans people egging for a fight every time. We see them colluding against people with opposite views. We see them try to bully corporations into their will. We see them fighting for the place of women in society. No one is giving them a wedgie. One day, they realize that makeup and surgery doesn't change inside it. Ask the Kardashians. That's all.
I'm guessing you're voting for Kamala Harris.
Yes, my queen.
Yeah, okay. What's her greatest accomplishment?
Well, as vice president,
I'm not sure. I guess I have nothing. I'm stumped.
What is the best thing she's ever done?
I think some of the stuff she did as district attorney in San Francisco is pretty impressive.
Such as?
So like
releasing violent offenders that ended up killing people and raping women?
No, I don't support that.
Oh yeah, okay. No, but I mean, what has she done as vice president that makes you be like, she's my queen?
Right now, because she's not Trump.
Oh, not Trump. Please tell me, why should people vote for Kamala? Give me a reason.
Oh, I don't have a reason. I'm sorry.
This reminds me of the time when Charlie Kirk men with low testosterone white guys for Kamala Harris. This one right here should be the ambassador for that low vibrational group. She's your queen, okay?
Hey, Ben Shapiro, I just had a quick question for you. So
I have a question. Can I see your face, or is it like prohibited?
I just don't want to associate my face with like my politics.
Is there a reason for that?
I just don't want worried about my career. Is that okay?
Well, it depends about what you're about to say.
Okay, so can I just ask it?
You can ask it, and then we'll determine whether you are a person who should not be able to get a job.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So I just want to know, how hard was it to generate AI generated images of Hamas?
So you should take off your mask now. Not really because what you're saying is so anti-Semitic, but just because what you're saying is so unbelievably stupid that I hope employers take a good stock of a person who does something so dumb.
So you go to a seminar with a mask because you have to protect your potential career. Okay, does that mean you are already aware of your foolishness and you still decided to go ahead?
I am of the belief that abortion is never medically necessary.
Are you a doctor?
No. Are you?
No.
But there is a community of OBGYNs that agree with me.
So is it our decision to make? Is it something that we
Well,
can decide?
that's an interesting question.
So
First of all,
should it be something that people have the ability to vote on, yes or no, if a woman is able to make that choice?
Should a mom be able to kill her 2-year-old daughter?
No.
Are you a doctor?
No.
Okay, but why are we able to say it's wrong? So we're able to make moral statements when the baby's outside the womb. Why not when it's in the womb? Thank you for coming up. Think about that.
Okay, she's a little adorable, so we won't be too hard on her. Just think about it, darling. Have a great day.
Why should I vote for Trump when his border policies are xenophobic?
What about what Trump did or what he says he's going to do is about him believing he's better than another race? Does every human being who says they have a tough life have a right to come into America? That would be opening America to 5 billion people. Are you comfortable with that? Am I allowed to rob a bank if I'm poor? If someone is homeless, are they able to break into your dorm room?
No, I'm gonna kick them out.
You'll kick them out, right? So then we as Americans should kick out people that break into our country. It doesn't matter if you have a good story. The question is, do you come here the right way or the wrong way? Trump's position is this: you're not allowed to come into the country unwelcome, only if you are invited and accepted. We have a big door and a big heart. We're a very generous country. But that is legal immigration, not illegal immigration into our country. You started the question, I want to answer it directly. Was Donald Trump's border perspective racist or xenophobic? No. In fact, it's the opposite. It's Donald Trump putting the legal immigrants of Mexico and Nicaragua who came here and waited in line, putting them first and not allowing people to cut in line and border jump into the United States of America. Now, let me ask you, how are you leaning this election?
Well, after what you said, Trump.
Let's go! God bless you, man. Thank you.
Okay, enough of the cute people. Let's watch some embarrassing idiots now.
A child in a womb is invading a bodily space.
Invading?
Invade? How is it not?
How did the baby?
Parasitic organism.
Did the baby jump in the mother's womb? Human beings? That's ridiculous.
Start off with such, yeah, that's reasonable.
No, we start off as human beings.
I mean, I believe in science. I don't think you do.
No, science defends the lives begin to conception.
I disagree with that immensely, as a matter of fact.
I don't really.
Yeah. Where's my proof? Oh.
Arguments.
I'm not judging. It's not like I defend my life.
That's the logic. Only your life.
You're telling me what I should have.
So nobody else. Everybody else.
Take care of me. You take care of you. Baby takes care of me.
Man, you should defend innocent lives.
You just know when a person didn't get a lot of hugs as a child.
At least highly unlikely that you are or could be racist. I'm concerned you use your Indian heritage as a diversity card to shield yourself from criticism about racially or ethnically problematic comments and or stances that you've made or taken in the past. Is this not opposite but parallel to the stereotype that all people who are white are racist? A claim I don't agree with, and one that I'll concede some of the leftists you disagree with do employ for their purposes. I just kind of want to hear your thoughts on that, hear you expand on that.
I think I'm familiar with the view, but I don't share it, that people of color intrinsically cannot be racist. This is actually a doctrine of the left, and I don't agree with it because I think that racism is a doctrine of racial superiority, inferiority, of racial denigration. So obviously, in principle, it's possible for anyone to be a racist. Now, that being said, we always have to balance what someone says with a contextual use of what they said and with a fair attribution of the label. Because I think you would agree that if you go around calling people racist just because they say things you don't agree with, or they have a disputed interpretation of something that let's just take, for example, slavery or a topic like that. Open debate is not racist. Open debate is very healthy in an academic community. Racial denigration is racist. So I ask you in fairness, I've been up here now speaking. If you believe the posters and the dissenters and the comments and the Stanford paper and so on, you might have expected me to stand up and give you 45 minutes of racial invective. So a very good way to test these things is to ask you, have you heard me say anything tonight that you would consider racist? And if not, why would you even raise that term in my connection?
So I will concede to you. I did not hear anything explicitly racist, and I do have to say
This is a Stanford student falling below the standard of intelligence.
So, why don't you think we deserve reparations? I mean, you did get a check for a racist act back when you were in high school.
Okay, so first off, these are two different points. I do not think that we deserve reparations for slavery. I was never a slave in this country, and I think that the idea, if you think that you're going to get more than $200 from the government, okay, this entire debate is just it's a joke, okay? It's never going to happen. Do you think that we're the only group? I'm just going to ask this question that has had something awful happen to them in this country. Should the Japanese get reparations for the internment camps?
Yes,
Should the Irish, all the Irish? Who's Irish in this room? Raise your hand. Should they get? Oh, that's a lot of Irish people. Should they get reparations for the Irish need not apply during the Progressive era and all the terrible things that happened to them? What about the Jewish people? Should they get reparations for the Holocaust?
Well, they did get reparations in Germany.
No, they didn't. That is a myth, and that
Not
is
in
false.
America.
They did not get any. They didn't get any reparations in America. So okay, but here's my question: do you understand how slippery the slope is when you start saying reparations? It's the beginning of humanity. The slave trade used to be legal. It used to be legal. And do you want to know who got reparations? This is actually fascinating. I learned this from Larry Elder yesterday. In the UK, they decided to give reparations because of the slave trade. When they abolished it, you know who they gave reparations to? The slave owners. Because black people were their property legally. It was legal, right? So when they got rid of it, they gave them reparations. The point is that no matter where you go in history, someone was oppressed. You cannot look to correct history by thinking that you're gonna get a small check, because every single person in this room would get a check. It's just a means for them to seize you emotionally and make you think that you deserve something or you're gonna get something. And if they actually factually did it, it would probably amount to $400 that you couldn't even spend at a club on a weekend.
If reparations would actually be a thing, it wouldn't and shouldn't go to you. You are not a slave. Get over it. Slaves wanted nothing to do with the term, but this generation wants to be in shackles so badly.
Right? You think that it's important that someone has a credential to do an accounting job, right?
But that's, of course, but
okay, so hold on, wait. So
that's
we agree
a
with that,
sliver
right?
of the reason why people go to
hold
college,
on. You don't I'm not talking about a sliver. You said college is a scam, right?
I do. The
I'm holding you to that. You
Yes.
said college is a scam, right?
Yes,
And your
of
own
course it is.
value criteria was that people couldn't get a job out of college, and you're literally saying that you can get a job out of college for being an accountant.
Let me make the shirt even more specific.
Okay.
College in its current form that affects the majority of students at the majority of colleges, not counting the sliver cases of doctors, nurses, lawyers, accountants that are able to avoid left-wing parasitic ideology, is a scam.
So like the majority of people that come out of college.
But that doesn't make a good t-shirt, man.
All right, fair enough.
Why is this still a debate? These sociology majors want to defend their future Starbucks position so bad.
Discussion if you just keep throwing buzzwords in here. So let me ask you this. So when you say college is a scam, right?
I gave you the longer explanation.
Yeah, you gave me the longer explanation,
more nuanced,
right?
yeah.
But you kind of conceded already that parts of college are not a scam, right?
Well, it depends what you, again,
but the parts that are
I encourage you to
a
read
scam,
my
hold on.
book.
But the parts, I'm not going to read your book. Listen,
Well,
I'm
but if
talking
you're
to you.
not gonna- then you're not arguing in faith,
Come on,
because-
listen. I'm arguing because I'm talking to you right now. I want to know what you're saying. I don't give a about your book. I don't care about your book. I just want to hear what you're saying to me right now. So here, listen. Hold on.
Okay,
Sorry.
You're getting a little upset.
I'm
this
telling you, I'm not
communications
getting
course you
upset.
talk about in college, you probably haven't learned very much. about like how to publicly speak effectively. First rule of communication, don't swear at the person you're talking to, and don't get really upset.
I'm not swearing at you.
So you're kind of proving the point that college is a scam, kind of by you making a fool of yourself in front of everybody. So you should go demand your money back from that community.
Any men who have a uterus could menstruate.
A man has XY. You're incorrect, because we're talking about anatomy, biology. Like if you were to have surgery, they need.
Now this lady right here can be our woman king. No man will ever be able to get pregnant and give birth to a child. No woman will ever be able to impregnate another woman. That's how it has been, and that's how it will keep being.
It's really unsettling to me that you have this website, professorwatchlist.org, right? Yep. That basically tells conservative students that, hey, these professors are very liberal, and you should avoid them.
To expose.
Okay, fine, expose. But even in that, I feel like that colors thought, coloring their speech to where it's not free speech.
No, but
You're
we're not
telling them
saying
what to do
it's
beforehand.
not Professor Blacklist or Professor Hitlist.
But
we're not saying they should shut up or be fired. We're not misquoting them.
Yeah. No, I understand
all this
that.
stuff is we're just making
But
them
would
more
you agree
famous.
that it's taken out of context, though?
But that's not my fault if someone takes something out of context.
But
so if
you're
I says your
providing
sweatshirt
the
is red,
database.
it's not anyone's fault except the interpreters.
Sure, but you're providing this platform for people to spread this misinformation.
Not necessarily.
You don't think it's a platform where people can spread misinformation?
You can say the same thing about the internet or Twitter or Facebook. It's not incumbent on the person who creates the platform to be responsible for how people interpret it.
Of course. Can you guarantee that this is not going to inhibit free speech?
You can never guarantee it. But we're using our right to free speech to encourage more.
I don't think you get his point, Charlie. It's only free speech when it benefits Wokies. Anything else is hate speech.
To address your previous assertion that race means nothing, critical race theory is not being taught in schools. It is a academic theory that's pretty much delegated only to higher academia. They are not teaching it in schools. Your explanation of it was an oversimplification. You address the real history behind it, unlike most people. And why, if race means nothing, does it affect our history? Say 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. Why is there such evil history with something that supposedly means nothing?
Okay, so first of all, you're wrong. It is being taught in elementary schools. I'll give you an example. Not only is it being taught, it's being enforced. Actually, in the National Education Association's training manual, which is the largest teacher union in the country, they had a seminar on how to teach critical race theory to kids. That sounds like it's in our schools, doesn't it?
What that is it's literally just common sense. It's saying that this is real history. This is what has happened in the past.
Right. So
that matters.
Okay, got it. So, for example, would you say that black-only dormitories is wrong?
It certainly creates a sense of community. I don't see any problem with that. We have sororities. We have male-only dorms.
But let me ask you a question. Are there differences between races?
No, not biologically.
Then why would we have different dormitories for races?
Culture.
Guess racism is still alive and it's spreading its wings in this young man. Oh, can you guess his closing argument?
The Civil Rights Act of 1964?
In this state?
Yeah, actually in this state. Are there black-only bathrooms out there I'm unaware of, or white-only bathrooms?
Nah.
Right. A lot of work was done in the state. What percentage of young blacks have both a mom and a dad raising them?
I cannot think of a percentage right now to give you.
25%. So only 1 out of 4 blacks in America have a mom and a dad around. Do you think that is a bigger issue to address than racism? Do you think more dads is a better solution?
How could dads be connected directly? Like
Dads are very connected.
And what about,
When you have a dad
talking
around,
about-
you're less likely to be violent as a male, less likely to go to
And
prison.
So explain to me why all the fathers are leaving.
Exactly. Why are they leaving?
Question for you.
Because
why are they
black
leaving?
women married
So-
the government and divorced the men that they were once.
High schoolers dress in their pajamas and college students dress in millennial beach fits. Cool, I guess.
And because it has real sting and applies to real people, there's an effort to try to pin it on people. See, like these guys are walking out, they're too lazy to debate with me. They're not going to. I mean, they aren't. They aren't. Because, I'll tell you why.
This is what happens when your mother tells you you are the coolest person she knows. How ridiculous. Staging a walkout with a SpongeBob sign.
So the thing is, here you are, T individual, clearly leeching off the government program Law and Order, saying others should be forced to pay affect your life and your property. So my question to you, Ben, is given that tiny fellas like you benefit from this coerced payment, yet you condemn the needs of others different from your own as somehow encroaching on your freedoms, just how is this not the height of hypocrisy and when your entire philosophy of living in government falls apart? Is it not, in truth, only limited to what Ben...
Well, we've heard from Shaquille O'Dum. Now, let's hear from Little Ben.
I enjoy Ben Shapiro's short and petite joke as much as any other person. But a couple of quick things. First of all, just as a matter of fact, I should explain that I do expend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on my own personal security. So if the idea is that I'm leeching off the government, no, I am definitely paying for my own personal security. If the idea is that when it comes to policing, the idea of police is that police is a public good. Okay, the description of a public good in economics is a good that is non-rivalrous and non-excludable, meaning a good that cannot be denied to anybody who is within its purview, and also cannot be excluded for anybody who is within its purview. The fact is that when it comes to leeching, if you were to consider a public good by the amount of what I pay in and what I get out, in terms of taxes, I pay in vastly more than many people who benefit from the services of the police department. But the point of having a police department is that the police department is supposed to protect the community, meaning that they shouldn't be picking and choosing the houses on my street that they protect, because that has bleed over effects and externalities, including the safety level on my street. So no, I do not think that it is me disproportionately drawing from the system to suggest that there be public policing. I think that it's a creative argument. It's a new one. I'll give you that. And I'll try to work out more if that's what you're asking me to do. I'll try.
Treat a clown like a clown.